Good evening, and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 25th, and tonight's movie is Willow Creek. Willow Creek is a 2013 found-footage horror movie concerning Bigfoot, and it was directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, who usually does comedies. I want to preface this by saying I have almost no experience with Bobcat Goldthwait. I've heard his voice in a few cartoons when I was a kid, but I have no idea what he even sounds like. I have no opinion on this guy. But I hated this movie. I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10. It's one of the worst I've watched this month because it has the privilege of being one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my entire life. There are quite a few people out there who say that the Blair Witch Project was boring and that nothing happened in that movie. But if you're one of those people, I wouldn't recommend watching this one because it is going to make you want to bash your head into the wall just so that you could stay awake. There were points where it felt like I could feel myself dying. This movie starts out slow and keeps getting slower until it comes to a point towards the end of the movie, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's start out by talking about the plot. The plot of Willow Creek is that there is this couple, a man and woman, who go to, they don't actually say the state, they call it Willow Creek. I think it's in, the Northwest, Washington, Oregon, that area, that's known for a lot of Bigfoot sightings. There was a specific video, I think I've actually seen that video. It was a video of Bigfoot that was caught in, the 60s. The guy wants to make a documentary about Bigfoot. I don't know if he's a student or if it's his job or if he does this for fun or whatever, but he wants to make a document about Bigfoot. He's a believer. His girlfriend is a hard skeptic. She does not believe in Bigfoot at all. Like the Blair Witch Project, they talk with the locals and discuss folklore before going into the woods, but unlike the Blair Witch Project in Willow Creek, that takes up about half of the movie. The pacing in this movie is atrocious, by the way. They drag their feet getting to the woods. Once they're in the woods, they drag their feet to do anything, and once things start actually happening, the movie's almost over, so the ending's really rushed. I will say that the acting was good. The two actors, the man and woman, they did a pretty good job. They just weren't given anything to work with. I will also say that the final scare of the movie really isn't that bad, but considering all the nothing that we had to slog through to get to it, it wasn't worth it. Something I think I will always remember about Willow Creek is this one particular scene. It's about 2/3 of the way through the movie, and they're in the tent, it's night, they get woken up by noise, they use the camera light to see, and they just keep hearing more noises, more stuff happens, they get scared. That's pretty much the entire scene. I just described to you what happens in the entire scene. The scene lasts 18 minutes. Almost 20 minutes for a scene that took one sentence to describe. They either did it all in one take or they did it in 2 takes because they turn off the light at one point. But that's not impressive at all. They're just sitting around talking. The first 5 minutes were kind of effective, but then it kept going, and going, and going. And by the 10-minute mark, you're just hoping the scene will be over, not knowing that you have 8 minutes left. This movie is 79 minutes long. I did the math, and this scene takes up about 23% of the movie. Almost a quarter of the running time is this one scene. Almost the entire scene is just waiting for something to actually happen, and I believe there are 3 actual scares in it. And they're all pretty spread out. There's 2 jump scares, and then there is one normal scare where somebody presses their face against the side of the tent so you see the imprint come in. That scare was okay, but I don't think it was worth the 15 minutes of build-up they gave it. Unfriended was one continuous 80-minute scene, and it still felt shorter and more eventful than this scene in Willow Creek. I don't think I've ever been more bored by a horror movie than I was while watching that scene. That scene is a pretty good way to sum up Willow Creek in general. It starts out okay, and you think that something pretty effective will happen, but then it just keeps going, and going, and going, and you realize that nothing is actually happening. They continue with the nothing, and then at the very end, the payoff comes, but it's not worth all the time you had to spend to get to it. Out of all the movies I've seen for 31 Horror Nights, I still think I hate Kill List more than this one, but this is a close second. I highly recommend that you do not watch this movie. If you think you want to watch it, no you don't. Watch The Blair Witch Project instead. Willow Creek is essentially the Blair Witch Project if you took away all the parts where something was actually happening. This was a test of patience I was not prepared for. Alright, now let's talk about what few spoilers there actually are. They had a route to go down to get to the place where that Bigfoot video was shot in 1967, but once they approach it, they're blocked by somebody, a local, like a park ranger or something, and he tells them to leave and just head back to town. Naturally, that's not going to stop the boyfriend. He wants to make his movie, so he takes them to another trail. I don't even actually think it's a trail. I think he was just making stuff up. So they walk through the woods all day, and they don't make it to their destination by nightfall, so they set up camp. Then the endless scene happens, and they decide to just cut it quits and head back. And on their way back, they come across like this weird like gray bloody fur that's on a tree. So the boyfriend gets a sample of it, they continue, and by the end of they come across that exact same tree, so they went in a gigantic circle. I am almost completely certain that this is not like the Blair Witch Project, where supernatural forces were keeping them lost in the woods. I'm pretty sure that these two were just horribly unprepared and stupid. Night falls and they're still lost, and this entire time they kept hearing weird sounds in the woods, and they felt like something was following them, so by nightfall they're stuck, they're scared. Then they come across this fat naked woman in the woods. She doesn't say anything, she just stands there, and then they're attacked by Bigfoot, I assume. You hear like the same Bigfoot growls you've been hearing this entire movie. And I didn't actually know this while watching it. I had to look it up on the Wikipedia page. They set up, way at the beginning of the movie, that there was like this missing woman. They showed the poster, they showed her face. But considering everything I had to go through between that scene and the scene of the reveal of that woman, I didn't recognize her. I had forgotten about that. So I had no idea where they were going with. That twist completely fell flat for me. Then Bigfoot kills the guy, and you don't know for sure what happened to the woman, but it's implied that Bigfoot stole away the woman so that he could mate with her and reproduce. So yeah, that's disgusting. Willow Creek was an absolute chore to get through. I know that usually less is more when it comes to horror movies, but this movie went way too far. I would not recommend it to anybody. I'll see you tomorrow.